I never thought a quiet Friday night at the office would change the course of my life. My name is Emily Brooks. I was 27, working as a marketing coordinator at a mid-sized branding firm in Oregon. I'd been there for just over a year, quiet, focused, eager to learn, but always just a little unsure of where I fit in. I loved my job, but I constantly questioned whether I was good enough, smart enough, capable enough. Then there was my boss, Margaret Collins. Margaret was 60 years old, the founder and CEO of the firm. She was poised, intelligent, always dressed to perfection. She wasn't just respected, she was admired. But I'll be honest, she intimidated me. Her calm gaze could cut through any silence in a meeting. She rarely smiled, but when she did, it carried weight. I'd always kept my distance, hoping not to mess up in front of her. That Friday, most of the team had clocked out early. We had just wrapped up a massive client campaign, and the exhaustion in the air was thick. But me? I stayed behind. I had a few reports to finish, and if I'm being honest, I also just needed a little quiet. I was sitting at my desk, headphones in, when I heard her voice behind me. Emily. I jumped, pulling out my earbuds so fast they tangled in my fingers. Miss Collins. I didn't hear you. She smiled slightly. You're still working? Yes, I said quickly. Just wrapping up some final numbers for the analytics report. She nodded, then tilted her head. Would you come to my office for a moment? I could use your thoughts on something. My stomach fluttered. Had I done something wrong? I followed her down the hallway, trying not to overthink. Her heels echoed softly on the tiled floor, and I kept my hands clasped in front of me to hide how nervous they were. When we stepped inside her office, she turned and gently clicked the door lock behind us. For a split second, I froze. But she looked at me and said calmly, "Don't worry, I just didn't want the janitorial crew walking in. We won't be long." I nodded, still unsure, and sat down. She walked over to her desk and pulled out 2 folders. These are strategic rebrand proposals I've been reviewing. They're good, but something's missing. I'd love your take. A fresh set of eyes. I blinked. She wanted my input? We sat down together side by side. I glanced over the proposals, offering a few timid thoughts at first. She didn't interrupt. She listened, and when I paused to see if I had said something wrong, she gave a soft nod. See? That's exactly what I was missing, she said. And then, the conversation shifted. I've been meaning to talk to you, Emily, she said, setting the folder aside. I've noticed your work. You're thoughtful. You care. That's rare. My cheeks warmed. I wasn't used to compliments like that, especially not from someone like her. Thank you, I said quietly. She leaned back in her chair, then got up and walked to the bookshelf behind her. She pulled down a soft leather-bound journal and handed it to me. This was mine, she said. From when I was your age. Long before I had this office. Long before I knew who I was. I turned the pages carefully. Inside were notes, half-written campaign ideas, doodles, quotes, even a few coffee stains. You kept this? I asked, to remind myself where I started. I used to think I had to know everything to lead. But I've learned it's not about having the answers. It's about asking the right questions and showing up every single day. There was something in her voice, something gentle, human. I had never seen that side of her before. Why are you showing this to me? I asked, almost in a whisper. She looked at me, her eyes kind but steady. Because I see something in you. And I think it's time someone told you that you don't need to wait 5 years, 10 years, or a fancy title to be valuable. You already are. That's when it hit me. She hadn't locked the door to isolate me. She had locked it to create a space of quiet, of safety. To make sure I would hear her. And I did. We talked for another hour. Not just about marketing, but about fear, ambition, failure, and identity. She told me stories about how her first startup collapsed. How she cried in the parking lot when her first big client dropped out. How she kept going anyway. And then she said something that I've never forgotten. When you're young in your career, people often treat you like a shadow, there but not seen. I locked this door tonight to tell you, face to face, that I see you, Emily. And I think it's time you started seeing yourself, too. My throat tightened. I blinked fast so I wouldn't cry. Thank you, I whispered. When we stood to leave, she unlocked the door and turned back to me. Promise me one thing, she said. I nodded. Okay. When it's your turn to lead, whether that's tomorrow or 10 years from now, lead like this. Quietly, boldly, with compassion. I promised her I would. That Monday, I found a new project on my desk, one she had assigned just to me. I was leading the rebrand we had talked about. It was the first time I was trusted to do more than just assist. She had opened a door in me I didn't even know existed. Over the next year, she continued to mentor me. We had monthly one-on-ones, and she'd occasionally drop a book on my desk with a post-it note. Chapter 7. You'll know why. And I always did. When Margaret retired, there was a farewell party filled with laughter and tears. She gave a lovely speech, but before leaving, she handed me an envelope. Inside was a note. Dear Emily, you reminded me what it felt like to be brave again. You're going to go far, further than I ever dreamed. And when you see someone standing quietly in the corner, unsure of their place, lock the door. Give them the moment they need to hear the truth. Love, Margaret. Sometimes, what changes your life isn't a promotion or some grand moment. Sometimes, it's a locked door and a woman who chose to open her heart inside it. That's what she did to me. And it changed everything.